I think the landscape for data hasn't changed so much, but I think what we've sort of seen with the emergence of AI and even I suppose the monetization drive is that I suppose the sins of the past are being exposed pretty publicly, right? So I think this idea of the ability for data ecosystems within these clients to sort of support 80% of the journey and then spend 20% being refined or transformed by the business or the business user at the end was almost an acceptable operating model. So we hear clients talk about EUC proliferation across their estate and sort of see that as a problem, but actually it's a symptom of the business needing data in a different form or in a different way or a different access point than what they're being provided. When you sort of consider about the core dynamic of artificial intelligence technology will be taking that last mile out of the equation and exposing that same data directly to your consumers or to the market or to the regulator. Suddenly, actually, the risk that you're carrying from not managing your data correctly is a much bigger problem for organizations to grapple with. And I think, we talked earlier about the move to cloud as a big driver. I think the cloud has moved the storage and compute. But now we've got a whole bunch of other challenges that need to be addressed along with it before I think the industry as a whole will be ready to deploy AI, particularly in a customer or consumer-facing role, versus what it's being used today, which is sort of back-end efficiency gains. So that will only become a much bigger part of not just the data strategy for the bank, but by the commercial and corporate strategy.
Yeah, which is one of the shifts. I think it was to stop looking at data as just data points in an area of the estate, really a business enabler, and it should be at the forefront. The Chief Data and Analytics Officer becoming a growing role. There's a shelf life to whether that's actually delivering value. It needs to be made valuable. The other topic of just readiness for Gen AI, really, how much governance do you have around all of this? I think the topic of excitement around Gen AI, maybe 2-3 years ago, as it was growing, to now distrust. Do we trust it? Can we use it? Is it safe? I think governance is just going to be a completely forefront topic for anybody, a CDO or Chief Data and Analytics Officer moving forward.
Correct. I mean, if you look at a dynamic of how we would have looked at this problem, if we looked at a fairly traditional data warehouse sort of style assessment, you would be able to point to the general ledger and you would be able to point to these systems of record and say, yes, I'm absolutely correct. We're moving into a world where actually context will really matter. The context you ask the question in will change from day to day. The exact semantic structure of the question you're asking will change the answer. And already we're seeing clients who are building large language models who will probably ultimately will abandon those projects. We're seeing customers generating RAGs for their organization that generate garbage output. And I suppose what it's doing is it's exposing, I suppose, the level of data literacy and data capability that actually needs to exist, not just for the building of these systems, but for the way that consumers will ultimately interact with them.